Welcome back to Washington Whispers. I'm the editor, Paul Bedard. You know, reporters like me have some different weeks. Normally it's report, interview, write, go to Capitol Hill, mingle with some big shots, come back and bang it out. Other weeks are a little bit different. Sometimes I even get to interview celebrities, and that's what made this week such a gas. I got to talk with Rain Man director Barry Levinson, Jefferson Airplane singer Grace Slick, and the guy who just penned the authoritative biography on political Brahmin, Clark Clifford. So let's start there. If you're old enough or a good enough history student, you've heard of Clifford. He was the foreign policy guru for Truman, Kennedy, Johnson, and even Carter before he got tripped up in the 1991 BCCI banking scandal. He died in 1998. His life's work is featured in a new book, Clark Clifford, The Wise Man of Washington, by historian John Acacia. His is a big Washington life, literally like none other since. He had a big hand in creating NATO, the Marshall Plan, the Truman Doctrine, ending the Vietnam War, and shepherding the creation of Israel. Okay, so I asked Acacia who he sees as today's contemporaries. Somebody of that stature has to be around, right? Well, he came up with a pretty interesting list. Topping it, James A. Baker, who advised Ford, Reagan, and George H.W. Bush. Then there's our own David Gergen, who played with Nixon, Ford, Reagan, and Democrat Clinton. And that brought him to Hillary Clinton, now Secretary of State, as his third pick, and we tossed in former Clinton Chief of Staff and current Obama advisor John Podesta just for good measure. Still, Acacia told me, I don't think anyone has had the level of influence of Clark Clifford. Okay, next. So I had a nice long chat with Grace Slick. She's part of a group trying to stop animal testing. This time her focus is on chimpanzees, especially those kept in small lab cages. Turns out she's always been animal friendly, dating way back to her youth when she got some junk mail warning about panda bears becoming extinct. Well, we didn't talk much music, but we did talk a lot about drugs, and she had a funny story on why testing on animals doesn't work in her eyes. Alright, so she did a lot of drugs in the band, but she never overdosed. But she says she once took a prescription drug, tested of course, and it almost killed her. So much for those tests, she says. And then I had a chance to talk with Hollywood director Barry Levinson. He's pushing his latest, a documentary on the 2008 presidential conventions. It's called Pollywood. It explores the impact actors and Tinseltown has had on politics, and he concludes that it's been way too much. So much that now to be a successful politician or a successful media outlet, he says, you have to be very entertaining. You know, Hollywood, it's always somebody else's fault, isn't it? Oh, let me tell you about an email I got from the NRA. This one's a doozy. Okay, guns and booze. Two things, they should never be mixed together, right? Well, no. The NRA is promoting a wine club of all things, and it's offering bottles for just $6.99. That gives a new meaning to popping the cork. And finally, our poll. This week, we asked what alternative to the U.S. dollar should be considered if the greenback continues to wallow. Gold was number one, of course, at 49%. Euros were second at 37%. And in what I have to think is a statement on their ownership of so much American debt in dollars, the Chinese yuan came in at just 2%. Okay, that's a wrap. Thanks for listening, and check back often to see what we're reporting at Washington Whispers. I'm Paul Bedard.